Welcome back, guys, to my 2025 Havoc Demon Hunter guide. I've been playing this class for about 6 years now, and every season I try to refine the play, watch the best players, and become the best I can. I have read every comment that's on this channel, and I understand that a lot of you like raiding. I don't generally raid too much. I'm more of a Mythic Pluser, but this video will focus on Mythic Plus and raiding. I will have flashed some of my stuff here for week 1 raid. I will not be pushing Mythic Raid. I will not be joining a Mythic Raid team, but I wanted to show that I understand these rotations and I can give you some insights on them. And if you have questions, I can answer them. I was playing a Shattered Destiny build for, I believe, every fight. That's another reason why I'm not too keen on it, is it's just an Annihilation build, it feels like, at this point. And that's not as fun for me. I want more of an engaging playstyle, and I think that Mythic Plus is able to give me that, but I also do understand progging and defeating bosses and getting gear is epic, and I've just kind of found that Mythic Plus is my zone, so I wanted to cover both of them in this video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I will kind of put a timestamp up. It will be kind of a long-winded video because I want to give you guys all of the information that I have. I got 12s done week 1, and I've been at work for the last 4 days, so I will be pushing again this weekend. And I believe that I have let's see, I think I have a 13 Cinderbrew in bags that we will start with. Yeah, so we have 13 Cinderbrew. That's going to be a good starting point. But for the most part, our builds in Havoc are going to remain pretty open. We have a lot of options, and for our Aldrachi Reaver, some of the two main ones that you want to make sure that you're taking that people might not understand, and I will be going over these much more in depth, but two talents that I just think could just completely be overlooked is Sigil of Spite is going to give you more soul shards, so you're going to remove your collective anguish that you've been probably running for quite a while, and that would go into your Sigil of Spite. Next, your chaos fragments. Every time you chaos nova while you're in Aldrachi Reaver, we are trying to build up our art of glaive. Once we get 6 soul fragments, we will get a massive glaive that will essentially, if we do our combinations right, will do a lot more damage. And then we'll get some buffs and everything like that, and thrill of the fight. So we will be going over this hero talent in depth, but for now, I want to make sure that I provide some value at the beginning. These two hero talents might be completely overlooked by a lot of people, and I would make sure that you are looking at them and you have taken them if you're playing Aldrachi. You do not need Chaos Fragments, and you maybe don't need Sigil of Spite for Fel-Scarred. I was playing back and forth with them. I don't really know. The Fel-Scarred build's more of a fun build, so if you like Sigil of Spite, you can play that. But if you're playing Aldrachi Reaver, you must have Sigil of Spite and Chaos Fragments. This is a must-have if you're playing Mythic Plus. So for a raid scenario, we have a raid single target build. This is what I ran, I believe, in almost every single fight. It was between an Inertia and Exergy is one of your main decisions that you can make here. And you could also just not play a mover at all in raid, but I think we could probably take Chaos Theory and like a Blind Fury over it, but this is so good for our burst window. Plus, if we want to get rid of Essence Break, we could probably get rid of Essence Break and maybe throw it into Chaos Theory, but this overall felt so good while raiding. I did enjoy this build. We could also put it in Critical Chaos, but I was using the Essence Break build, and so far I enjoyed it. I also was running Exergy just because I didn't fully understand Inertia at the time, because I was taking our Vengeful Retreat resets the cooldown of Blade Dance, and I feel like if you play if you play the Inertia, you would have to always take Vengeful Retreat to be cast a second time within 3 seconds, but then you wouldn't. It feels like it could be a little weird. Whenever I've played Evasive Action, I've been confused and it didn't feel correct, so that could just be a player issue, and maybe I'll play around with it some more, but right now, having a 3-second window to recast Vengeful Retreat is almost completely irrelevant when every single time I Vengeful Retreat, I get a new Fellblade. So Fellblade gives you the rage up front, brings you to the target, and then does damage to the target. I mean, I feel like it's almost a no-brainer that Unhindered Assault is better, but it just doesn't feel better for Inertia, if that makes sense, because the Hunt and Vengeful Retreat causes your next Fel Rush or Fellblade to empower you. So I almost feel like this, if you were to play Inertia, this talent needs to be the same talent. I don't, like, instead of being a choice node, it's just Vengeful Retreat, resets your Fellblade, and Vengeful Retreat can be cast a second, because this is the only way to get this buff. It's the only way, and then your Hunt's on a 1 minute and 30-second cooldown. So if we had it like this and it reset when we Vengeful twice in a row, then we could actually probably stay in our Inertia. But instead, it's like Hunt once, and then you get your 5-second, and then you Vengeful Retreat, and then you gotta wait till your next Vengeful Retreat into a Fel Rush. For some reason, to me, it's feeling a little weird because I've been so used to just spamming Immo Aura, just getting Inertia. So I have not enjoyed Inertia this season. I don't like it. I don't play it. I don't recommend it, but I do understand that there's players that want to play it. That makes sense. I get why you would want to play it, but for me, it feels clunky. That's why I'm not playing it. It might legitimately sim higher, but if my mind can't understand what I'm going to execute, then it's not going to work out for me. So I'm not playing Inertia. If they change this talent, I will consider it. So that's our quick overview of the Aldrachi main builds. Then, if we're going to talk about this build, is exactly what you would run in Workshop. We would run this build in Mechagon Workshop because we want our Shattered Destiny. We want our easy movement abilities for whatever we constantly are moving in Mechagon Workshop. So we want the value of when we're going away with Tactical Retreat. I don't lose too much uptime in Workshop, but I mean, there's times where Cujo gets tanked in a weird spot. You get stuck behind the box. There's orbs in front of the boss on the last boss. The tanks him weird and the fire starts spinning and then he's on the completely other side of the room. There's so many different things that are going on in Workshop. So what we're trying to do in this build is just be a prio damage machine. We have 0 AoE. I have no fire inside, no rage fire, anything like that. We are just single targeting these things down like an absolute monster. There's a ton of different variations we can go here, but the main takeaway is if I were to run Workshop, we are going to... I will also show... I'm sure that some people don't play Essence Break as well, just because when we're in Shattered Destiny, to me, I think Essence Break is great with Shattered Destiny, but I also... for some reason, people think that they like have to I-beam before an Essence Break, but the cool thing about Shattered Destiny is the longer you spend, you stay in this demon form for so long that when this Essence Break comes up, you could just kind of get a full combo in that window because I was also running the reset from the last season, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get a double death sweep in with this without a meta reset, but I'll be honest, you don't always need the meta reset when you just smash this, get 80% more damage for 4 seconds on 50 targets with your Blade Dance. So. And also the prio damage from Essence Break in some of the dungeons. Like when anything goes down into a phase taking 100% more damage, Essence Break is always going to come out on top. If you save it and you were prepared and you didn't waste Essence Break for 2 minutes before it, Essence Break will be the highest damage, especially with damage phases. Damage phases... or something that must die at a certain time, Essence Break is always going to be the most front-loaded damage. That's what you need to understand about it. You do not need to play Essence Break, but I have been playing Essence Break in some keys. In Raid, I played Essence Break, I think, on every single fight, just because in Raid it's more linear, and you don't have to think about when something's going to happen. It's just straight up on a timer, and if you're in a Mythic Plus... somebody could have died. The pull takes 20 seconds longer. Did you save your Essence Break? Do you have your meta combo? What do you have? So I would run this build right here in Workshop. This is the only time I would ever run a Shattered Destiny Essence Break build in Mythic Plus right now is Workshop until I get to higher keys, and then maybe I think a Floodgate would definitely be able to use this build. If we get a big AoE monster, you get a Destro Lock Boomkin, something like that, in your key, I think you're going to be having a good time with the prio damage on this. I think you're going to be timing some keys. Right into the raid stuff right now. Let's get some of this out of the way so we can dive right into the Mythic Plus and really focus on some of the different builds and rotation orders that we have here. So, first off, in raid, we want to start out with our Sigil of Flame before the pull. Make sure that we're getting that one global out. We always want to start with one Immo Aura because we can precast these things. Like if you think about it, if I'm able to get multiple abilities out before you, then it's going to be I just simply am doing more damage because I've pressed more buttons. So we want to try, in especially in Mythic Plus, this is where you can practice it as well. Walking into a pull, you can easily grab a, like, while you're seeing the pull, you can just put an Immo Aura on. We have 2 stacks of it. It can proc a second one. Who knows? Maybe sometimes you get locked at 5 globals and you're just in the pull, but you could have had 3 running into it, and then you're already I-beaming, and then you might have had another reset. So always be pre-casting whenever you can. So this is going to be a 99 log from my Havoc here. Our main takeaways are using every ability on CD, but we want to make sure that we're focusing on our uptime of thrill of the fight. We want to at least keep that 20% the attack speed up, but I would also always like, as soon as ads are up, anything like that, I want to make sure I'm ready with a 15% damage buff from Thrill of the Fight, and that is going to be coming from whenever you do your combo after your glaive. So when you glaive and you use that combo is going to give you a 20-second buff that gives you attack speed, and then it's also going to give you a 10-second buff that gives you 15% damage for abilities. So depending on where you are in the fight, it is very good to just kind of slam it. If you're going to have multiple glaives coming up, and maybe you have an entire glaive plus another glaive worth of souls stacked up, and that's another huge thing, you can stack glaives with Aldrachi Reaver. So let's kind of talk about how to do that with Mythic Plus. If we're looking at this, I have a glaive going into this pack. That's why I did not use it. I'm going to target the highest health mob, which is going to be the muscle here. We have so much prio damage, and I'm trying to precast myself. So we got beforehand, I got my Immo Aura proc, Immo Aura proc, Immo Aura proc, and another one. So I got 5 Immo Aura procs, but I made sure to throw one of my death sweeps out early to get my Soul Scar buff up while stacking those. So normally I would have probably saved that, but I saw I was getting a lot of procs. So we're going to break down this poll probably twice to really show what's going on here, because this is how you can actually blast as Havoc Demon Hunter. It's really about the setup, what you have before the poll, and you don't always need meta. I do know we had meta for this poll, but when you're blasting on Havoc, you go into a poll with 1, 2, 3 glaives, and you are killing that prio target, you are going to be an absolute monster. So let's rerun this real quick, and I'm going to break it down much slower. As soon as I look at this pack when this is dead, I know that I had my glaive ready, I had that soul ready to go, so I want to pre-cast my sigils, my Immo Auras, and then get a glaive out before I even pretty much touch this pack, and then I'll get my 1 Thrill of the Fight buff, and then I'll start stacking everything else. So I'm getting good Immolation Aura procs here, so I want to make sure that I get these out quickly. I still have my Thrill of the Fight buff, so I want to make sure that I'm using that damage, and then I immediately go into my 2nd Thrill of the Fight buff. If I do not keep using that glaive as the 9 seconds goes off, I will lose damage. And right here, we use it one more time, and we have missed a little bit. I think right here we could have optimized that and maybe had sent that a little bit earlier. If I had set it up slightly better, I think we probably could have had 1 more second worth of our thrill buff in there, but I would say overall this is not that bad. We want to make sure that we're full sending our I-beams on cooldown. We have a 20-second cooldown now. We want to get our people into the next group, and especially at the end of pulls like this. If you pull aggro, you can meld, you can run away, or in my case, I just put the shield up and I kind of kite towards the tank. So those are some things that you can do when actually pulling aggro, and those are types of things that you have to do when you're actually trying to do real DPS and Havoc. So let's talk about another kind of a pull. So right here, we had a weird pat, so we had to wait on our glaive at the beginning. So I did not use it on this pack that we're pulling into it, and then I will make sure that I'm constantly, if I ever have to leave melee, I am trying to use any of the buttons that don't necessarily need to be in melee, and I do specifically save them. Like, it might be rotationally better for me to do something at that exact moment, but I will understand that I will have to be moving soon, and I'd rather use that movement ability when I will not be able to hit that boss for zero point 0.8 seconds. So when I know for a fact I cannot hit that boss with a melee attack for zero point 0.8 seconds, I will probably save my MO or my throw glaive one global so I can make sure that I hit it. And that is a consistent theme that I do. You have to be able to notice those types of interactions and then utilize them. So you don't want to just be full sending your glaive at the end of a pull. You want to be able to stack your glaive. You can stack glaive. So once you have a glaive up, the only time where it's going to kind of munch itself is if you have a glaive and you full glaive and then you hunt. That is how you're going to ruin your kind of setup there. So try not to do that one. And one of the ways that I get around that is I legitimately try to, if I have a glaive before the pull, I'm trying to always use that enhanced glaive before the pull at all times. I really want to get it out, get my stuff started. But I would also try to keep it so if you're going to use your glaives, make sure that you, as soon as your glaive is done and that 10-second window is done, you have another one built up. By that, I mean you threw a glaive, then you hunt. That is a guaranteed extra glaive. Now, let's say you don't have the hunt. You use Sigil of Spite instead. There you go. You would have another glaive after that. You could Sigil of Spite into maybe a Chaos Nova that is 6 shards for you if you've hit pretty much any targets. So there's a lot of different ways to gain your soul shards, they're not exactly soul shards, but I think everyone understands what I mean here. I play Warlock, so I might get those mixed up a little bit. And right here, you just mainly want to make sure that every single pack you're presetting it up. So if you do not have your glaives, you're not going to get your 15% damage buff. You're not going to get an attack speed buff. Your attack speed gives you more fury because of your Demonblades. And with your Demonblades giving you more fury, you're going to be able to cast your abilities more and just simply do more damage. We want the most annihilations or death sweeps in our I-beam meta windows that we possibly can. Then that is one of the reasons why I don't really run Essence Break in keys, is because it's slightly harder to get that value. But like, let's say if I'm playing in a workshop, I will almost certainly be running an Essence Break build. Everything in there is just huge health, no real giga pulls or anything like that. So it'd be, those are the examples where you want a different type of build for whenever you're going to play a very low count or low pull dungeon. And most of the dungeons, Ragefire is absolutely excellent. And I'm assuming that there's a world where you could have super prio target and you run Ragefire in Workshop. But I do believe that in Workshop, a Shattered Destiny build is most likely going to be where you're going to shine. And it's simply due to the fact that there is no Giggle pull other than the first pull, and I you just need to kill the detonating bombs. There's nothing else to do. As soon as the bombs are dead, you win. So I wouldn't be too worried about padding or anything. If you're playing Havoc correctly, you're going to be timing keys because the mobs that can kill your group are dead. That's what's going on here. That's what I feel the power of this prio damage in these keys. And as long as you're pre-setting up these glaives and such, you're going to have a good time. A full probably 1 hour Havoc Demon Hunter mechanic guide of every mechanic that I know of this game, but that is not going to be in this video. I want to provide how to play Mythic Plus, how to play Raid on Aldrachi Reaver and Fel-Scarred. So before this video ends, we're going to be going over a little bit of Mythic Plus Fel-Scarred. I do not recommend Fel-Scarred in Raid at all. I do not think it's for that. I could be wrong, but it seems like it's simming way behind. I don't see a problem if you only like Fel-Scarred. I think you could play it. I don't see anything wrong with that. But if you're pushing Mythic Raid, you probably should be playing a Aldrachi Reaver build just because of its ability to do a single target burst damage. And if you're the one that has to kill any ads or do any phases like that, we're really good at that. So like a example of heroic Mugsy, if you get into the cages, whenever I got into the cages there, I was pretty much the one killing them because I would actively save my essence break to kill that mob in the cage so everyone could get out of jail immediately. And we didn't have the luxury of everyone switching to a void elf to do that. So there's some times where we as players have to overcome certain things, and those are great examples of where Essence Break is incredible. Like that was without Essence Break, it would be very hard for me to be killing that mob in that time frame every time. So maybe I probably lost one Essence Break in the heroic Mugsy fight, but I was able to kill the boss mob that was required to be killed for my team at an efficient rate, and we were still able to kill the boss. So I'm happy with being able to do those types of things. I think finally Havoc being given a spot where we actually have multiple different builds to play different things is great. So let's cover the Fel-Scarred build for players that are. This is going to be for new players. It's going to be for anyone that wants to just kind of do like farm keys. That's always been kind of where these are going to be shining. If you're doing sevens, eights, and you have to like just help your friends out, this is going to be the Fel-Scarred build that I'm about to show right now is going to be for you. You're going to have a lot of fun. You can turn your brain off and just kind of blast. So I would recommend it, but if you're pushing high keys, I do recommend Aldrachi Reaver is pretty unmatched. Real quick mechanics you need to know about the main Aldrachi Reaver build. When we use our Vengeful Retreat, if we have our Fel-Blade, we put it on CD, but we Vengeful Retreat, we will be able to always reset it. So that is a good change. I really like that. And alternative is just a Vengeful Retreat. You get a second one when you cast it again within 3 seconds, and it's like I haven't. It doesn't feel great to me. So I have not used that, and I don't think there's too many people that do use it because Fel-Blade is like decent damage, single target. I mean, it's fine. It gives you a ton of fury, and then it brings you exactly to your target. I mean, sometimes it's bad when it brings you to your target, but it is what it is. CD, but we Vengeful Retreat. We will be able to always. It is what it is. Good change. I really like that. And alternative is just a Vengeful Retreat. You get a second one when you cast it again within 3 seconds, and it's like I haven't. It doesn't feel great to me, so I have not used that, and I don't think there's too many people that do use it because Fel-Blade is like decent damage, single target. I mean, it's fine. It gives you a ton of fury, and then it brings you exactly to your target. I mean, sometimes it's bad when it brings you to your target, but it is what it is. Oh, and did you know if you Netherwalk, you can still use your darkness sigils? So this is very good to know. You can Netherwalk to your healer, drop down a darkness on them, and just like try to stun a mob or something like that. There's a lot you can do. You might be one soul off of being able to have a glaive as well by the time you get out, so that will give you the global to get in there. There's a lot of stuff that you can do while you can't actually do something else. So make sure that you're using all of your buttons when you can't be exactly on top of the boss, on top of the mobs. And honestly, it should just be that is your whole goal, is to stay glued to whatever your target is. The more auto attacks you do, you have Demonblades, and Demonblades is going to give you a ton of fury, especially when you pair it up with your Art of the Glaive and you get your Thrill of the Hunt buff, which is a very large attack speed and a damage buff when you do a enhanced glaive into a chaos strike and blade dance. So the main things that you want to know is just always use your Elysian Decree and your Hunt on cooldown. They're going to pretty much give you a guaranteed glaive. The Elysian Decree isn't going to give you a guaranteed glaive, but it gives you a lot of shards. It gives 4 full shards from it, and you're just going to be, you only need 6 for the enhanced glaive. But the one thing I really want to nail home is it's very easy when you have an enhanced glaive here, and then you use Hunt. It will munch that enhanced glaive, so you want to make sure before you ever do that, you do not want to use the Hunt. So I hope this has helped you guys. I just got off of work and I'm going to try I think we're going to warm up here with a 12 Rookery. I just saw this group in queue, so I signed up for it. Wish me luck. If I time this key, I guess I'll upload this one.